I'm going to explain a little bit about how the dashboard works, and then I'm going to ask for any volunteers, for those of you who are drinking water systems and are on the call and would like to see your rates up on the dashboard if we have you in there. Also have a few utilities I'd be interested to show you if there's time, but if you do want to volunteer, go ahead and type that into the question box so we'll know that when we get to that point. So we programmed in an imaginary Colorado example utility here. I'm going to use that to explain for a few minutes the basics of how the dashboard works before we go to examples. If you look in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, like Jeff was saying earlier, you can look at water bills or sewer bills, or water and sewer bills combined. And we start you out here at 5,000 gallons per month, but you can slide it up and down by 1,000 gallons. You can slide it down to 0, where basically what you're looking at now is the base charge that Jeff was talking about earlier. You can slide it all the way up to 15,000, but 5,000, maybe a little less, or 4,000 is often what we see for typical residential monthly consumption of drinking water. This is our bill comparison dial. And what you're seeing here is for this example utility at 5,000 gallons per month. Let's go back to just drinking water for the moment. This needle shows you that they're ending up in this middle 50% of the data symbolized by the dark green. The overall color scheme of our dials is, we tried to make it kind of intuitive here. More or less green is good, and more or less red is perhaps a source of concern. As for the bill comparison dial, if the needle were pointing at this yellow strip at the bottom, they would be in the bottom 10% of the data. The other yellow strip, the top 10% of the data. And these light green are the 15% sandwiched in between. So these folks are very close to the median. They're $31.18 a month bill, just a little bit above the median of $29 a month. You can see the minimum and the maximum here as well. For all of our dials, if you want to understand better how they're working when you surf in and use the dashboard on our website, you can click on the Help buttons, and a window opens up, and you can close it by clicking either on the red X or the Help button again. The conservation signal dial, well, what's meant by a conservation signal? What we're trying to get at here is the idea that at higher levels of consumption, what you might think of as discretionary consumption beyond what a typical regular-sized household would probably do. So going from 10,000 gallons to 11,000 gallons per month, at that increment, that next 1,000 gallons, what does it cost and how does it compare to everyone else? And it's $3.73, and that puts it, we divided this up into quarters. That's what the dark yellow is the bottom quarter of the data, the dark green is the top quarter of the data. So they're a little above the middle here, a little above the median in the next to the top quarter. Basic idea here is drinking water being a scarce resource. Do you have a rate structure in place that is sending a message to your customers that at these higher levels of consumption, as you consume more, are we signaling you to consume even more, such as Jeff was talking about before, if you had a decreasing block rate structure that may or may not yield at this level a weak consumption signal. Increasing block rate structure might or might not yield a stronger one, but it's going to depend on the actual data for the individual utility. So this is all about conserving scarce drinking water resource. The affordability dial is based upon data that is publicly available that we downloaded from the U.S. Census Bureau. And what we've got here is not a month, but actually a full year of water bills, or if we selected sewer, or combination of water and sewer, a whole year of your bills divided by your median household income, or MHI. And what percentage is it? So for this made-up utility, it's 1.65%. Now I should add that these numbers that we've added here as benchmarks, 2%, 3%, they're not based on any kind of hard and fast guidance or standard that we've been given by the U.S. EPA or anyone else. This really is a way to enter into the conversation about affordability. It's a complicated one. There's a lot of ways to look at affordability. And in fact, if you click on the Characteristics tab, you'll see what the MHI is for this community, how it compares with the state of Colorado as a whole, how the respective poverty rates compare. And if you're interested in a longer discussion of this, if you click on the Help button and you click on this link here, you'll see a great blog post by our colleague Shadi Eskoff on the subject. Now just a little bit more and I'll be done explaining the basics of how the dashboard works. The default when you start off is you're looking at all the utilities in the state of Colorado that we have data for this dashboard. So 83 rate structures shown right now for water. We switch to sewer, it's 90 rate structures. The yellow dot is the utility that's been selected. We switch to, like our example, for low rates and low conservation signal. This is utility that does not have sewer. They only provide drinking water. See the yellow dot shifts. You also have the opportunity to select a comparison group that is, say, similar service population. For those of you who are small systems, that might be interesting. So this one is less than 550 people. Basic example, between 1,500 and 3,000 people. And you see these top two dials can move when you select a different comparison group, because these top two dials are benchmarked against a peer group. Affordability dial is not going to move on that basis because that's just benchmarked against a standard. Now, you may have in front of you as utility managers or people involved in the decision making for setting rates, a question in your mind about if we raise rates by this amount, what will the result be? Well, we have this slider right here to help you look at how one way might help to model that. So we can slide this up to say, what would a 20% or 20% rate increase do? And you'll see the affordability dial has creeped up. The bill comparison dial has changed as well. However, this is not a perfect science because, in fact, this is based on the math in the background, a 3% decrease in consumption for every 10% increase in rates. We let you increase it up to 50%. And of course, you know on the ground your utility customers better than we do over here in North Carolina, so you may have a better sense of how that supply-demand shift would take place with rate increases. Also, this only models rate increases all at once, whereas you may be looking at a gradual regime of rate changes across a period of years. So that gives you the basic overview of how our Colorado dashboard works. There's also a links tab with some useful links, including the Colorado Municipal League, Special District Association, and the funder of the survey, the Colorado Water Resources and Power Development Authority, as well as to our own website. And there's also a link you can click on there to email yours truly with feedback or questions about this dashboard.